forgive Greg Cody for not being quite ready for what it is that we're doing right now and being off mic. He's doing a bit of arts and crafts right now. Cody, do you want to tell people off mic? You're going to lean into the mic. This is how it works.
Wow.
This is how it works with Greg Cody. When I want him near the mic, he doesn't do the mic. When I wanted him off mic, he does
the closest he's ever been to the mic.
He pulls the mic right to his mouth and does his job totally correctly.
Damn right. I'm multitasking right now, Dan. That's what that's called.
What are you doing?
Well, Zaslow, unfortunately, is wearing a Miami football shirt on a day when Miami basketball deserves every sort of pinnacle and attention. And so I'm creating for him something that is going to remedy that situation.
A different shirt. He's wearing a Miami football shirt that reads simply Miami football with the Adidas logo over it, and you are coming over. We're not on air right now, so you are not video on air, so nobody can see what you're doing.
He's walked across the room.
As you theatrically do that.
He's now covering up the football.
I like that.
The shadow show is not video.
Is that right?
Okay.
Who can keep track?
Yeah, but the viewers will have a payoff once we go live.
They will. It doesn't match great though. It's a good shirt, but the colors are not green and orange. Green, orange, and blue really don't. Green, orange, and masking tape really don't work.
It's my first time wearing this shirt too. New shirt.
Miami football was celebrated last night too. Mike Ryan stormed a court, and feloniously.
I don't think I stormed. I just sauntered.
Yeah.
Stood on the outskirts.
No. I definitely was on the court. I said security that was assembled with a human chain that was presumably there to prevent me from going on the court. Hey, can my daughter and I go in? And they were like, go right ahead. And I just sauntered on
Did
through.
you instantly feel old? Because I did that when we beat Duke, what was it, a few years ago, and I was at the game, and I was like, all right, I'll go on the court. And I was just like, I'm old.
I guess I would feel old if I were just doing it to make myself happy.
It's a father-daughter
I was doing
moment.
it to make a memory with my daughter, which I did. And no, I didn't. I guess I felt old because I'm a dad.
Well, and you sauntered, and a court storming.
You're supposed to
storm.
Nobody stormed.
This is why.
This was universally a court sauntering.
You're so right about this. It did seem to me more like milling about.
Mm-hmm. We all collectively should we do this? You could see the students were trepidatious to do it because we don't storm the field. Miami football does not do that because down here you'd get shot
because
for
they
it.
have self-respect.
Yeah, and also they'd shoot us. They straight up would. At least for football. That's something that you can get away with, in Appalachia. It's not something that you can do in Miami Gardens.
Well, to be clear, okay, during a court storming, do not bring a child like that. A legitimate and real
what
court
about
storming.
Sauntering.
Sauntering, it's totally illegal.
That's
Fair
right.
game.
It's totally fair.
He's a child.
Basketball. Is back, Jack. Time for our favorite winter sport. The summertime is over, so let's head down to the court. Time for the tip-off. Give me fast breaks on the attack. Will you shoot a three or take it to the rack? Basketball is back, Jack. It's a dream shake down in the post, or a killer cross you love the most. When the offense tries to run and gun, is it man-to-man or box and one? It's big plays and talking smack. That's how you know that basketball is back, Jack. Let me hear you say basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. 360 dunks and pick and rolls. And we're gonna watch it every day till they raise the Larry O. Hard fouls and hook shots. A dagger three and hack a shack. If you say this game's the best, I'll say the gag. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back. Basketball is back, Jack.
we've had some heaters around here occasionally. Zaz is the one that most recently has had a giant heater where he parlayed the Miami Heat getting into a play-in game into a job.
I had a good year last year.
Yeah, like just a lot of winning that Zaz did. But Mike Ryan is presently doing a great deal of winning. It's not just that he and Chris Cody are GM of the year and the Battle Court Cyclones are reigning champions like Inter Miami. Harder for the Panthers to repeat than it is going to be for the Cyclones or Inter Miami. So I feel like that's one version of winning. But then last night, you get the biggest victory of the year. And I think I can say this. They made the tournament last night. Like, things can happen. I suppose they can get injured because they don't have any depth. They're playing 5 people, and they have to play everybody. But what was evident last night in not being much of a surprise against North Carolina is, oh, look, North Carolina's still young and looks a little bit like students, whereas Miami's physically, those are men. Like, those are physically men out there. And if you can do that to North Carolina and not get tired late, like I thought for sure they were gonna lose that game in the last 5 minutes because they played all 5 guys. They're playing their starters the whole time, and I really thought that North Carolina would wear them down late, but they didn't have the size, the physicality to wear them down.
There were 0 players on this roster in late March. 0. There wasn't a staff. It was just the Jay Lucas hire and totally rebuild a basketball program that wasted all the momentum from a Final Four appearance. And in less than a year, Jay Lucas has a team that is bigger, stronger, more physical than North Carolina, which is a very good team. I'm not saying better, but last night they were. In a couple of months, he just built a roster out of thin air that is getting a signature victory, and in all likelihood, unless they really trip up here down the stretch, puts them in the tournament.
Okay, the refs, so that we know, the refs allowed them to play a physical style of basketball. What ends up derailing this is Renew in foul trouble. Like, they can't even afford that. Never mind an injury.
We have Saliatuntaj.
No, they can't.
That guy's a joke running around.
What?
No,
You're a
respectfully.
joke.
No, respectfully.
You're a joke.
Respectfully. We were watching
Be
the
careful.
game.
3 minutes.
Choose your words wisely.
My father-in-law was watching the game. He's like, who's that guy? And I'm like, that's Altuntaj.
Saliatuntaj.
He might be 40 or he might be 18. I'm not 100% sure. He looks like Arvydas Sabonis at the end.
Let's play some sound of the fans excited in what was a genuine court milling about.
God bless America. God bless Malachi Tony. And God bless Uday.
That was me. They caught me in an emotional moment. Those are the 3 things that I love with my whole heart.
Malaki.
The UM football team was celebrated last night as well. We've got Mario Cristobal riding his players during an interview. Mike was moved. Were you moved to tears, Mike, during the halftime celebration of this most beloved team of yours?
Yeah, it was a special season, and I wasn't moved to tears, but
Good.
I've been, yeah, that would have been, come on, man.
What's up?
I'm a red-blooded American male. But, you know, I've been kind of sad because we lost. I've been on a heater. Yeah, it was great to see the football program be there, but I still haven't really completely shaken off that loss. But it was good that to see a highlight package that firmly established Miami back into relevancy. I don't have to hear, when's the last time Miami was relevant on a football field? And it was cool to celebrate the achievements of last year. And honestly, it was cool seeing some of these players again. And the Mario Cristobal, it's hard to get a compliment from Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal, after the highlight and trying to pump the crowd up, he was like, he was turning the microphone over to Mark Fletcher. And he touted Mark Fletcher's achievements, most rushing yards in the history of the college football playoff. He's a great player and a better man, which is just, you know, like that. It's very hard to get a compliment from an older Cuban man. And from that generation.
I know. Yes, I was raised by one.
I mean, it is kind of a blanket thing a lot of coaches say about that.
Yeah, but it's not something Mario Cristobal does.
I'm not saying, like, Mark, I think they mean it, but it is kind of a thing you hear.
It's kind of crazy. Like, Mark Fletcher's coming back for his senior year, and with that helmet, that logo on that helmet, after a national championship game, previous years, the discussion would be, look at these thugs. Look at Mark Fletcher. Look at him being a sore loser. And that wasn't there because everybody even nationally, when they heard Miami people speak with reverence to Mark Fletcher, they all kind of took our word for it. And Mark Fletcher is that dude. He's the unquestioned leader of this team. And then Mark Fletcher took over the mic and essentially said, we're going to finish the job next season.
He said they're going to finish?
That was a pretty cool pop.
Wow, it's a promise.
He also told Mike at halftime that the University of Miami basketball team was going to win, and Mike believed him just because Mark Fletcher was saying it. And he's in the cult. He's full on in the cult of Fletcher.
Yeah, I'm a big Fletcher guy.
So you've been, like I know you're saying you've been heartbroken. You're having a very hard time getting over losing the national championship game. This doesn't qualify as one of those years for you as a fan where you're going to, like that that you shouldn't be upset. You should be looking at it fondly about how amazing it was. Like when the Panthers lost the Stanley Cup in 2023, I wasn't upset. Mm-hmm. Like I mean, yeah, it would have felt great to win the Stanley Cup for the first time, but it was such a thrill, the whole thing. Like the Miami Heat when they lost in 2023 the same year, I was like, I wasn't upset. It was so amazing, the run. Like you're still down about that?
Yeah, because the difference here is, look, Florida didn't have enough. They got really injured, and they lost in 5. And it was a miracle that they got the one game there. Another comparison would be that Miami Heat team that this city really loved, that was scrapping with Caron Butler, Lamar Odom. They went toe-to-toe with the Pacers in the conference semis.
Second round,
yeah, but like you kind of felt good. Like, yeah, all right,
yes.
Miami is back.
Felt great.
The way that this one's different is Miami had the ball with, time left on the clock, and they were driving down the field. It was in their home stadium. You had gone through so much. Like, just to make it into the college football playoff was a war in itself. And you had it right there for you, so it's a little bit different. The heartbreak there wasn't that we just lost. It was like, damn it, like, it was there.
I wouldn't say, though, that that's the only difference. What Zaz is talking about is having a general gratitude. That program raised you and set the expectations in a place that the standard is totally unreasonable. Like the Panthers, you got it, and we're like, holy shit, I got to do that. But you've already done this with the Hurricanes. Mm-hmm. You did this for many years with the Hurricanes. So you've taken the beating the last few years. But you're right when you say the basketball team squandered all the momentum that they had. They were in the position the football team's in. You're supposed to take that and springboard it. The idea that they didn't have a team a few months ago, that their coach had retired, and they'd squandered it all, and now are beating North Carolina. And while that's not much of a court storming because it was a milling about, I was ready to call child services on Mike Ryan. I was ready to use the telestrator correctly today and said, show me all the other children who are on this court. You don't bring a child to a court storming. Like, everybody knows you don't do that. But this wasn't a court storming. This was a gathering.
It was a gathering.
It was
yeah.
an
It was an
They're
occurrence.
skipping out onto the court.
Yeah, it was an occurrence.
It was like a picnic.
But it was also, the court wasn't totally full, so it doesn't feel.
Don't do that.
No, we didn't know if we were allowed to.
No, good. So it wasn't dangerous.
Don't court shame.
Yeah, no,
It didn't feel dangerous.
Mike was allowed to saunter on the fringes because there wasn't a bustle at the middle
You're
of
court
it that
shaming.
had too many people.
A little bit of a sad court storm. If I'm gonna
It wasn't a storm. It was a gathering.
Well,
a
I mean,
sauntering.
look what we got right here. This looks
January
great.
6th.
This looks This looks lit.
It's like
as the
your
kids would say.
standard, like your standard hurricane, really powerful in the middle, and then not
Thought
so.
the eyes.
No, the middle is actually
No,
really
the eye wall, guys.
The eye wall, yeah.
The
hurricane. The dirty side of the storm. The dirty side of the storm.
dirty
The
side.
undercarriage.
To Dan's larger point,
You know about that eye?
the last 2 seasons of Miami basketball have honestly been disrespectful to what the team that made it to the Final Four did. It was, last year in particular, was one of the worst power conference seasons of basketball I have ever witnessed in my life. I was at those games. I have season tickets. I just stopped going because they didn't seem to care to try. And what Jay Lucas does with his teams is they're going to compete. Like that was evident. Dante Allen was a demon defensively.
Well, but let's talk about this part of it a second. Game analysis for just a second, okay? I've watched a little North Carolina basketball this year, and they don't get slowed. Like Kentucky, Duke, and Navy are the three teams that did this, and I'm assuming it's because Navy plays that shot clock bullshit where they take they're doing. I'm assuming Navy's doing backdoor cuts,
Triple
and trying
option
to milk
basketball?
The clock. I'm assuming they're
trap.
Four corners?
Like, just whatever they're doing, I'm assuming they're trying to do it as slow as possible. But when Kentucky slows North Carolina offensively, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting the defensive five guys to not wear down. They're supposed to wear down against the depth and the McDonald All-American of North Carolina. You're supposed to wear down when North Carolina is resting its starters, but High is not.
It's Jay. I know it's the spelling of highlight, but it's Jay Lucas, and God bless him for reminding me last night that I'm a traditional power. I had forgotten.
Why doesn't he
personally?
pull
Yeah, I'm a blue blood.
Oh, okay.
I'm a traditional power in the ACC, a college basketball power, and the last 2 seasons made me forget that. I almost forgot who I was. I mean, last season, guys, I cannot articulate how pathetic last season's basketball team was.
You've done well.
They did not give a single crap. It was revolting. Revolting, given that there's a banner from the Final Four from post-COVID. Like, it felt like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, and the Larrañaga era, which was successful,
Still going to go with Larrañaga, huh?
really fizzled. Yeah, Larrañaga.
Okay.
It was squandered.
It
Be clear on how hard that is to do. There are any number of Cinderellas that get to the Final Four and then disappear, but the University of Miami as a campus, as a reputation, is not a mid-major. Like, you should be able to build off of that. They've done it with the football
But isn't
program.
it easier in this NIL age to squander than it would have in
Definitely.
past?
Yes,
Definitely.
but if you're one of these
In a couple
schools
of
who has
months.
a reputation and can't get your players bought by others because you build it correctly,
They went to the Final Four, and they lost Zay Wong, who was ACC Player of the Year, and Jordan Miller, who is still hanging around the NBA, who was a really unsung hero of that team. But they brought back Wooga Poplar. They brought back Nigel Pack. They brought back Norchad Umir Baby Food, who, by the way, is absolutely killing
the G
in the
League.
G League and
Yeah.
is going to get a call-up. They brought back what I thought that team was going to be the best team in Miami history the year after the Final Four, because Norchad brought it, nobody else did. And then the following season was just a joke.
to your point, though, Chris, yes, FAU also made a run and now has faded back to the pack, but they lose their head coach, gets taken by somebody else. They're a power that other teams use as a feeder system. Miami is trying to get into the biggest game. ACC is the biggest game. Like that, they're in the conference that plays the biggest basketball games, and so they're trying to get to the top of what that is. But what I enjoyed about yesterday, because Zaz comes in with his shirt and his pride today, I'm going to ask the same question of Cody that I asked of Zaz. Are you familiar with Ernest Uday?
No.
Do you know who that is, though?
I know he's a player on UM. I'm not really well versed.
No,
on
but
that.
I'm not even here. I'm not here to make fun of you about that. I'm here to tell you March is approaching, and this is how everybody does it who's
Right.
not immersed in the college basketball of it throughout the year. Zaz, I asked him before the show, Ernest Uday, and he's like, who's that? And I'm like, the guy who played best last night, the guy who looked like he was more adult than the players who play for North Carolina.
Well, yeah, I mean, last night was the ultimate attention getter at exactly the right time. I mean, if you're a marginal UM fan or somebody on the periphery going, are they having a good season? Now you know. Now you know how good they are if you didn't know before. I think they should have been ranked a long time ago when they were 15-2. There were only 2 losses to top 10 teams. But now they're going to be ranked, and everybody's paying attention at exactly the right time. Because most people think college football season doesn't even start until football ends. And so what a
College basketball.
College basketball. So what a gorgeously timed victory last
What
night.
happened, Tony? He was,
That was right
there.
there. Yeah, he was making a great
excited.
point.
He
Yep.
was going to get the
He was
dismount,
revving.
and then he got the sport wrong, and then it all fell apart.
And now I forgot everything he said.
Says, I don't know if you were watching the game last night.
No,
Were
I
you-
watched the whole game.
You watched the whole
but
game?
I watched it on mute.
Okay, so Uday is the
Dan
guy
knows.
that was
It's like I don't know anyone's name.
the guy that was DeAndre Jordan last night.
Okay.
That's who they're talking about.
I Prime DeAndre Jordan was a fun player to watch. I like him.
Yeah, and he was playing in Coral Gables.
All right,
last night.
cool.
He's their 5th best player. I think I can say that, right? Like their Achilles heel is going to be free throws, and if they get injured or foul trouble,
Yeah,
like
no
they don't have any depth, Mike. It really is 5. It's 5 guys. Like
I mean, you got Trey, you got Shelton Henderson.
He's a
who-
beast, by the way.
Say the name again.
Yeah.
Who else
you
they
have-
got?
But
and you have
Renew,
Sally Altuntaj.
No, but look, the post presence of Renew is he missed in the Boston College game. He missed 3 layups and 2 dunks. But again, more adult than the people he's playing against. It's not just a size thing. The team is unusually physical. The way that they're playing defense, nobody slows. North Carolina got bullied last night.
Yeah.
Like say it plain. Like
I was so
North
happy
Carolina
to see Wilson go to the locker room.
North Carolina, yes, that too.
And he came out in a boxing glove. You saw from top to bottom. That was just a
Well,
forearm.
that's what happens when you try to box out Sally
Well,
Altuntaj.
look, just to be clear, because many people are going to correctly be hearing overreaction in what we're saying about Miami, and you should for this reason. They will not be allowed by the refs to play a game like that again all season. Like, the refs let everybody play in that game, and so Miami, more adult, bullied North Carolina coming off of a giant win where you're watching a basketball game and you want to switch the uniforms because, for example, when you're watching Duke, Cam Boozer's more adult. He's a freshman, but he's more adult physically than the people he's playing against. And I'm just not used to seeing that. North Carolina can be finesse, but they've always got the athletes. Like, they step on every court, and unless it's Duke, they've got the athletes. And so to see Miami, to see freshman goes to the locker room, looks like a kid, he's going to figure out how to play basketball in the next 3 years. But at the moment, he's a sixth grader playing against a bunch of guys who have been playing at the park and are coming home from the construction job and are putting an elbow in his ear.
It was so hard for North Carolina to get a clean shot up. And last year, I was screaming, and they could hear me because not many people were there. Put a hand up! Just try to put a hand up in a passing lane. Every single shot was like pulling teeth from North Carolina because these kids compete. It was great to see, so refreshing, because last year really killed my passion for the sport.
The other thing, too, is Wilson would get the ball at the low block and try to do the same exact move every time, spinning jump hook. And it was like, buddy, if that's your bag, he would try to back down any of Miami's frontline guys, and he would just bounce back. He had no motion to get to the
They're all built like Sally Altuntaj.
Literally, he would sit there and like push against the wall and then just turn around and shoot a jump hook. And it was like, if that's your offense, you guys are done.
Guys, please get me some optics on Tuntaj, please, so that everyone can know what we're talking about, because this is always a fan favorite. The guy who's just cardboard stiff, his hair's bad, you don't know whether he's 18 or 40. He's going to give you 3 minutes. He's going to flop around out there, get an offensive rebound for you, and you'll run him off the court both laughing and hoping that you don't have to rely
Zero
on him.
lateral movement.
You don't want to rely too much on him in March.
Every
either.
time I have the Canes game on, my wife walks in the room and she says, "Is Constantine Popa playing?"
No, wait a minute. Constantine Popa, I recognized. You just look at him and be like, that's a basketball player. It's unusual. Usually not that skinny. Constantine Popa was the big guy who can play at 7'3" from the perimeter before that was a popular thing. This is not that. This is a dry cleaning rack making its way through the lane just trying to grab an offensive rebound. And it's missing hair.
With a park bench for shoulders. A dry cleaning rack. Sally Altuntaj is carved of granite.
No.
What a 2 minutes. What a 2 minutes he produced last night.
It was electric. He's a pillar. He's a pillar.
Grabbed a hell of a board and then turned it off to a fast break.
Can we
look at all these Europeans that are playing defense for Jay Lucas? I am telling you, it's going to be very hard to retain this young man.
Put up Renew real quick, because I want people to see that he had his nose bloodied, and I think his mouth was bloodied too, correct? Like, they really let them play last night. At one point, I saw North Carolina late in the game had 4 free throws.
Dude, 2 possessions in, I'm like, we're covering.
I feel like it's.
And I was like, yes, they're going to let us play today.
I feel like it's always embarrassing, no matter what you're doing. And there, of course, he's playing basketball, but when you got the gauze sticking out of your nose, that's always an embarrassing look, no?
That's culture. This is Miami's basketball team right now. This is a team that doesn't take the privilege of stepping onto the wood for granted.
I need a worse picture than that. That's a good picture of him. I need a bad picture.
Why does he have so much hair under one armpit and not a lot of hair under the other? Is that the shadow?
That's his look.
Can we pull that back up?
Yes, here. Okay.
One hairy armpit and one.
That's even better than that. No,
let's not armpit shame him.
Photoshop hair.
Let's shame the entirety of him, not just the armpits, okay?
Why are you shaming this legend?
I need the other shot. Like, what's going on here? That's a shadow.
He looks like a young Ronnie Cycli.
All right, it's a shadow.
Okay.
He's good on the armpit
It is
hair.
not Ronnie Cycli. He looks like he looks like an old Ronnie Cycli. That's why it's funny.
Yes.
Thank you.
DJ Ronnie Cycli.
DJ Ronnie Cycli still has all his hair. This guy has more hair under one arm than the other, and some of it's missing off of the top of his head. The effect, you need to understand that one of the reasons that everyone is noticing him, they would not if he were simply bald. But the hair is distracting because it looks out of place, because it looks disheveled, like he's run panicked from a building.
I don't know. I think he'd look even crazier bald. Man. This guy looks pretty insane.
You guys,
they would notice
because
he's Sally
older.
Altontage.
He would not look older.
Let me see these armpit again. I'm going to break this down a little if I can here.
There's more.
All
Part
right,
of it
so
is
like
shadows.
Right
though.
here.
No, there's shadows.
Okay, I'm going to mess this up. All right, right here, not a lot of hair. Then here, it looks like way more hair, but as I really dissect it, as I really dissect, there's a shadow here. So you know what? Normal amount of hair.
That should be like a look for some players. They're like one arm, but oh man, that's the pit with all the hair.
Lewis, do me a favor, please. Surely you will find a photo that shows us the top of his head, because it's what's distracting. Those are the camera angles that hurt him when wives are noticing.
Good luck. I'm sure the internet is littered with in-game action photos of Sally Altontage.
I found one. I'm sending it to Lewis now.
Thank you. I'm sure. Look, Lewis.
Oh, that one was unfortunate. I remember that play.
Yeah, that's a bad.
He gathered and he turned with momentum behind him, which means the wind was starting. The inertia of it all was pushing that hairline back.
What I need everyone listening to this to understand, because this is March Madness in full bloom.
Right after you.
March Madness in full bloom is the wives and girlfriends discovering that the thing that you're watching has a player that makes them ask, who is that and why is he out there?
Women don't watch basketball. You're right, Dan.
That is. Thank you, Jeremy. It's a good correction, but Tony brought up the fact that somebody wasn't not
my
your
father-in-law.
Oh,
Me and my
I'm sorry.
father-in-law on the couch watching the game, and he's like, "Who's this guy?" And I'm like, "Arvydas Sabonis."
I thought it was your wife that asked you, because
My wife does not care.
Because my
As you
wife,
should assume.
my wife is asking me those questions when I'm watching. She's like, she comes over the television. She's like, "Well, those aren't the pros. Those aren't as good as those aren't. Why are you watching this? Who's that? Who's that? Oh, honey, he couldn't get enough minutes in tonight's game. He's not going to get any, but he's gonna. You're going to want to watch the 3 minutes that he's out there." That's one of the great discoveries. It's not just that Zaz is watching on mute, and you're learning, right? We're learning that Ernests don't get to be good at sports. That's not. It's Ernest Biner, and that's the list. Like
Ernest Graham had a moment for Florida.
Yeah. Ernest Uday made a name for himself last night.
What about Ernie's?
Yeah, Ernest Borgnine.
Not
That's
helpful.
not an athlete.
Not helpful. It's not.
Okay.
He was great in basketball.
You just wanted to say an Ernest that you know.
I did, yeah. Because I don't count Ernie's. Ernie Els. You can't count the Ernie's. Ernest is a totally different name.
Somebody's going to be less good at sports when they're named Ernest, correct?
Yeah.
Ernest Banks.
No.
That's
That was
My point
several
exactly.
generations ago, though.
It's 1950s,
Deck is stacked.
1960s.
We can all agree, deck is stacked if your name is
It's
Ernest.
Mr. Cub, though. It's the shortstop.
Yeah,
Let's play two.
It's a Hall of Famer.
I mean, just what an incredible night at the SCO. We became Dunk City. It was just so great to watch, so refreshing to watch that brand of basketball. I'm telling you, in 5 years, provided we keep this coach, which is going to be very difficult, we're going to make a Final Four again.
So this coach spells his name high, goes by J. Is he allowed to make that distinction for us? Because I was arguing on last names recently that you don't get to decide what your last name is pronounced by me if you're spelling it in a way that puts double L's on it and you don't want to be Hispanic. Like Castellanos doesn't get to be that.
Terrible.
No, he doesn't get to be that. That's incorrect. It's Castellanos, even if he wants to be called that. Can I do the same thing with High? Can I make J. Lucas Hi, Lucas? And can I go furthermore? If we're not going to allow this and you're going to bend this many rules, can I then call it JLI? That you're the champions, that the Cyclones are now the champions of JLI
Opening
instead
night
of
today.
Hi-Li.
Yeah, if we go to a Final Four, I'm all on board renaming it JLI. I'm down with that. Thank you for mentioning the champion Cyclones.
Opening
Spring
day.
season started yesterday. Dan, this is a whole new game. All right, the fronton has changed. We're at the Jam Arena now, and it looks spectacular.
I saw a giant cartoon replica of you two holding up a trophy and enjoying the triumphs of last season. Chris and Mike were commemorated in a giant thing that I saw celebrating you as reigning excellence in that sport.
New venue means new banners, so we refreshed the banner because we are 2-time champs. But, guys, this place is spectacular. And now
it's that good sound.
JLI Fridays at Battle Court at the Jam Arena. The JLI happens before a headlining comedy set. Whitney Cummings is probably the strangest opener in her career. That's a pretty strange one. I'm sure she's going to tell stories to her comic friends. Like, yeah, they had this weird Basque country sport that played before me.
J-Lie.
Yeah, J-Lie or something like that. But the Cyclones take the Fronton today at 3 o'clock. YouTube, ESPN app if you want to follow your reigning defending Cyclone champion.
And it's tough when you're a champ, Dan.
It's a whole new sport. Like the glass wall is now in the back, so it even sounds different. It sounds like Dania High Life childhood.
It brings me back to $2 beers and Quinellas.
Yeah, it
this
does.
sound. Because, if you've been to the Magic City court, it had this, thickness to it. This is this sound that you get now. This is the highlight sound off the wall. That I can't even describe what it sounds like. Just that sound of the highlight pelota hitting the wall.
It sort of sounds like a billiard ball if you were to throw it across a pool table. Is what the sound would be.
It sounds great, but the bigger court means more winners from the backcourt. Thankfully, we're blessed to have two incredible backcourters. Our captain Manu.
It's a different game.
Manu's a legend. He's not going anywhere.
Dude.
We texted Manu how we feeling about the new court.
Say?
He said terrible.
Yeah.
But Manu is never happy about anything.
Manu's he loves to set expectations low. It's his thing. It's our banter.
How about the Undertaker?
The Undertaker
Always confident.
He's been staying sharp. He's been playing overseas. He's back now, and this Fronton plays to his strengths, which is why we made the very difficult decision to keep him. We could only bring back 4 players. We also brought back Bradley, who had an incredible season last year, and his backcourt part and his frontcourt partner from last year. They went undefeated. The greatest athlete in the history of sports, Jedin. Now, before you look at me like I'm crazy,
hear him out.
We talk about Bo Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about Deion Sanders.
Checks out.
And why do we do that? Because they just merely played in these other sports. Tenard Davis won a Super Bowl and a Battle Court championship. All right? That's who Jedin is.
Who else has done that?
He's got 2 rings, 2 world championships in 2 different sports.
What are you smiling about, Greg Cody? The last time he's talking about a champion, and the only story I know about you at JLI is coughing so much until you passed out
Almost
and laid on
died.
the floor.
Yeah, that's true. That was a highlight of a highlight.
A J-Light.
Mike Fuentes thinks he saved your life.
Have I been back yet since I've
Yeah,
been
yeah. We won the championship.
You were there for our championship.
Have I been
right.
back?
Yeah.
I know it was a bit of a fever dream.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, this is just my life.
Guys, listen, okay? We have to make it so that the evolution of your father on this show is him joining us from something that appears to be a memory loss unit. Okay?
What is happening?
I don't know what's happening with him, but he's just asking you guys.
At one point, I pointed to you and I said, "This is for you."
I know.
You're
right.
He continues to ask you guys questions about himself because he's sinking into, all right, the entitled malaise of Chris Cody, as the producer of my podcast, just handles everything.
Right.
And so I just throw things over my shoulder and don't retain anything. Like I'm the star. I don't retain my catchphrases. I don't have to retain anything. This is my inheritance, kid. It's me not trying at all at the end, just running into the light. Glory for me. Everyone remember me for me, please. Tell me what I did that was so interesting yesterday.
Thank you. I have a staff that remembers for me. It's a wonderful thing.
Did you bring in the 2 catchphrases from yesterday you couldn't remember?
You were especially terrible yesterday.
I said one yesterday.
So you didn't.
What was it?
Bring it. What are the 2?
I'm gonna repeat it.
Okay, there we go again. You know what?
I said it yesterday.
One was "I love you like a
don't
pet."
That's what I said yesterday.
You don't remember what you said
I
yesterday.
love you like a pet.
You don't
Talking to the mic.
I love you like a pet.
Let's
I
make
do.
it.
I love Dan like a pet.
Let's make it a memory loss unit. Let's sell some Greg Cody T-shirts here, just so that you can get them at LeBatardAF.com just in time for Valentine's Day. If you have any love questions, we're going to try and do this live with Cody on Friday. 305-486-GOTS. 305-486-GOTS. It's a terrible idea to do this live, like unspeakably
I think it's better
bad.
this way.
So Friday we're
terrible.
going to do it live.
He's
305 of course, your love questions. 305-486-GOTS.
In case you're not watching, we did make a new shirt
for LeBatardAF.com that has Greg Cody's face, a speech bubble that says, "My wife always handles the wand."
My wife always handles the wand.
I have already purchased a T-shirt.
How are you feeling about these new merch drops that just increase the amount of liver spots? I'm not a fan of it.
It's not a flattering caricature. I have to admit.
Every new drop, there's a new liver spot.
It is not flattering.
Why wouldn't your cartoon get older? That would make sense. Like it would age the way the rest of you is. You broke out the '90s goatee today in order to hide the aging on your face.
Why does Steve Bannon have a wife that is handling his wand?
Ew.
What do you mean, ooh? This is Steve Bannon.
Ew.
He looks like Steve Bannon. His hair makes him look like Steve Bannon.
Military green is a choice.
What's going on with your goatee? Can you explain what's happening here? You're bringing back a '90s goatee.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of Fred Durst in you.
It's laziness. You know, sometimes as a routine, I go 4 or 5 days without shaving just because. And I went long enough this time where it started to grow in a little bit. I can't grow a beard because my cheeks are like awful and it doesn't really come in as a beard. So I decided to de-beard it and just leave the goatee, partly because my wife hates facial hair.
Fred Durst.
Fred Durst.
At most, maybe a chin thing.
So this is a compromise goatee, Greg goatee.
Quick,
And,
say Drewski.
Drewski.
No.
That was for me.
You can hear me?
Greg, that was for me.
You can hear me.
That was for me. Greg,
He's off to a great start today, Dano.
Greg, this is how we're doing this, okay? Greg, he's my inner monologue, okay?
Right.
Now, I'm supposed to ignore my inner monologue. My inner monologue was indeed feeling insecure about my Limp Bizkit reference.
Yeah.
It fell limp, and I knew it, and he knew it, and so he came to the microphone, and he's giving voice to the audience, making fun of me.
Right.
You're supposed to run right past it. I keep arguing with it because occasionally he doesn't appear as my inner monologue. He just appears to give me things he's secretly thinking.
Shipping container member.
Greg, say Drewski again.
You are explaining the show now, Dan.
It's fine.
That's not good.
I'm explaining it to Greg, but okay, fine.
I can't believe he said Drewski.
I mean, he did. I'm explaining it to him because he doesn't understand who Drewski is, why someone's saying Drewski, and he's just parroting
He also
because he thought it was said to him privately.
He also still doesn't understand anything you just told him.
But the other
Ask him to explain back what you explained.
The other part of it is that there's so many people talking in ears as the show's going on that Tony hits the wrong microphone yesterday and says to Chris Cody and the rest of us, go to Fake or Real Podcast when none of us were doing that as the show.
What are you doing to me? This is Greg.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for explaining the show.
The nerve of this guy.
Really?
Zaz was the one that took care of all of our sins yesterday, walking out the door and stumbling on the way out.
Is Jason Tatum really coming back?
Oh, man, this NBA.
We're going to be joined by Nick Wright in a little bit, and he's getting loads of fanfare for a podcast that he did with Bill Simmons where he tries to fix the NBA.
Well, what do you mean? Well, okay, so the NBA needs a lot of fixing, but what was like the crux of?
I haven't heard it yet. We can ask him for like the good stuff, but I assume not knowing when the Stars are playing is a big deal.
Last night, you saw the Lakers, like LeBron James now is not eligible for any postseason awards.
That's a crime.
So it ends his streak of all NBA, like 21 straight years of all NBA. Why is it a crime?
Because I like the 65-game minimum, but that's to prevent tanking and too much rest and all the other reasons a star might not play. In this case, if it's a legitimate injury, which apparently this was, and he's at 64 games because of a legitimate injury, I don't think it should be a hard, fast rule.
Oh, but you say that as if, he's not going to miss any other games and he's going to fall one game short of 65.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be plenty more games this season where he actually does rest because of his age. Like, he'll probably be somewhere around mid-50s at the end of the season.
I just think it needs to, and I know this is hard to do, but if it's tanking, if it's like Utah resting starters, obviously just resting them because they don't want to win, or if it's because too ridiculous amounts of rest, but there has to be a way to exclude the legitimate injuries from the penalty. it's difficult. Maybe it's impossible, but I just think it's terrible.
It seems like you just want this for LeBron, though. It's not even. I don't even know if you want this as a rule. You're just like LeBron should get this treatment.
Was LeBron going to make any of those postseason teams? Like now he gets to blame it on a technicality.
Yeah, he might have made the third team, right?
But why? He's played right now. He's played 35 games, and he's been playing okay. But there's a lot of other better players. By the way, just checked his stats. You want to know how many games or how many seasons he's played 82 games? In his entire career. 22 seasons.
Maybe one, but I'm not even confident in that.
One.
Yeah.
One time he's played 82 games.
On the tanking, though, you got a big one tonight. Kings and Jazz. We know the Jazz have been sitting their starters.
You see this, Dan?
They're out tanking each other because tonight for the Kings, DeAndre Hunter out, Zach LaVine out, Malik Monk out, Keegan Murray out, DeMontis Sabonis out, Russell Westbrook out, and that's against the Jazz.
Why would the NBA need fixing? I don't get it.
I saw Bobby Marks like ripping them for the Jazz, being like, "What they're doing is bad for the NBA." I know the Heat let one by them the other. Like the Heat just can't. They're trying so badly. They're like, what they're doing should be illegal, but they still beat the Heat.
The thing that you guys are ignoring, because it is pretty amazing to go 21 straight years all NBA. Like it's something that doesn't have a precedent. He's out for arthritis. Like, it's sciatica, and now it's foot arthritis. Like, LeBron James is literally so old, he's out for arthritis.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I think that we have to start rooting for OKC. We have to start because Wemby's about to hog all of these. It's going to happen very quickly, and he's going to ruin the sport. Nick Wright is here. Look, you hear him throwing things in the background.
Pipe down.
He fixed basketball on the Bill Simmons podcast. I'm hearing a great deal of applause. He fixed the entirety of the sport. He's the host of FS1's First Things First and What's Right with Nick Wright.
Hi.
The podcast.
How are you?
I am well, thank you. You object to Wemby dominating the sport so much that it's going to get ruined?
Just real quick, because you mentioned my appearance with Bill. If people don't want to listen to the whole thing, there's a lot of different things the NBA needs to fix. But the simplest fix is just make dunks worth 3 as well. Just do that. That doesn't fix tanking, doesn't fix the injuries, but it sure fixes so many of the other issues we have. And it sounds crazy until it doesn't. You make dunks worth 3, and you have different styles of play. You are rewarding different athletes. You are getting back to the heart, the soul of the league, which is the sickest athletes who have ever lived competing with each other. Meet me at the rim. Dunks worth 3. And I don't know if that would be good for your future GOAT Wemby, because that guy, fancies himself just a taller Kevin Durant rather than, a guy who's 7'7". We can talk Wemby, or we can talk about my brilliant dunks worth 3
Okay,
idea,
I want a question about your brilliant dunks worth 3 points suggestion here, Nick. So, number one, how do we determine, Blake Griffin used to do the deal where he would throw the ball into the hoop. So, is that a dunk? What constitutes? Does your finger have to touch the rim?
Zaz, I'm not trying to always be combative with you, my friend. But you know how I know that is, in search of a problem where there isn't one? Because your only off the top of your head reference of that happening was in a dunk contest 15 years ago.
I don't think that's true.
I don't know. It's just the reference you gave. I think, maybe I'm wrong. I think we pretty much know what a dunk is, what a dunk isn't. And when a guy had a dunk...
It's a weird follow from you. He's bringing up a point. Now, it's not the first time I've heard it. Juju had it years ago, and we'll probably have a complaint about Nick stealing that the way Amin has complaints about Nick stealing stuff and putting them on a larger platform. We'll find out from Juju later in the show. But it is an odd first question for you to have a nitpick on what's a dunk and what's not a dunk when we all know what a dunk is.
All right, then I'm stupid. The second part that I have, I think is more interesting.
How powerful is that? To admit when you're wrong and stupid. It should be liberating.
You're stupid.
Lean in. How free is this?
Do you feel freer than you have?
Believe it or not, I don't feel liberated at all now.
You should.
Really?
You should.
Learn to admit you're wrong.
It's like when Dan finally admitted he has a fat face. You just disarmed so many of the attacks.
That's right.
It's just like, what are you going to do? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
My next and clearly less stupid question is, I think that it sounds good in theory, all right, but I think I would slow the game to a crawl because players would foul the 3-point dunk attempt, so you can only get 2 free throws. Then it's just a free throw contest the whole game, no?
That is a more nuanced point that I'm interested in. And you know what? I hadn't thought of that, but my snap response is...
Not stupid.
So well done. Not stupid at all. See, already, the moment you admitted to being stupid, you got smarter. Nice. So, well done all around. I think you would have to adjudicate that just like you adjudicate a foul on a 3. If it is very clear the player is attempting a dunk and he got fouled, it's 3 free throws. Simple. Fixed it already. It was a smart question, but I fixed it already.
Now I feel liberated.
There you go.
Nick, why not just make the 3-point line disappear and make every shot the same, 2 points?
So I think here's the thing on that, Greg. I don't hate that. It sounds crazy. I don't hate it because I do think basketball right now is teetering on a ledge of the smart way to play is diametrically opposed, to the entertaining way to play, and therefore, how do you square that circle? I talked about this. Juju, if he came up with that idea before, I cede the ground to him. I like Juju, I respect Juju, and I wouldn't steal from Juju, but I didn't know it. An idea that unabashedly is not mine, but I think kind of, is, don't say a thief, is the Hollinger idea of just like baseball teams get to design their own outfield walls, basketball teams draw their own 3-point line. And if a team says, this is Hollinger's idea. If a team says, we don't want a 3-point line, you don't have one. And that has 2 effects. One is you have to be able to win a bunch of different styles, and a sneaky unintentional consequence of it is the regular season matters way more, because if the 2021 Milwaukee Bucks are, in a nip and tuck race for the 1 seed, and it's like, shit, they don't have a 3-point line. If they get home court advantage, we're going to have to win a series all by twos because they have Giannis. Like, that does make the regular season more important. And so those are just some, back of the napkin ideas. But I would, Dan, love to talk about Wemby. And
Are we doing the Simmons pod but worse?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No, you guys, that's why I'm trying to move on. You guys, and it's not worse.
It's not your fault. I mean, it's not his fault. Can he hammer you too? Say Drewski.
That's my inner monologue, Nick. We're going to have to keep explaining this to the guests, but that's just my inner monologue. It's the voice that was in my head saying to me when Greg Cody, with the nitpicks of Zaz, and then Greg Cody comes in, well, what about this? All of a sudden, we're fixing the NBA dumber than you and Bill Simmons did it on that.
So let's talk Wemby. Greg, you're always good with me, buddy.
Thank you.
The first, or second, pardon me, venture into the Le Batard universe after I was a one-time and one-time only guest on this show was when I was on Greg Cody and Chris Cody's podcast. That was my only appearance anywhere in the universe for like 2 years.
Thank you.
I assume I just, didn't respond to invites to a Means podcast, but still. All right, Wemby. What's the next hyperbole with him you guys want to do? He was unbelievable in the first quarter last night. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I just think that OKC's got that as the problem. That's their only problem. They have a trouble with what he's going to do to the sport.
And they won 4 out of 5 against OKC this year.
So, I think so. So maybe I misinterpreted. I apologize. If you're saying the Spurs right now this year are the biggest threat to Oklahoma City, I 100% agree. Where I have heard that conversation go is, and man, teams better start winning championships now because Wemby's gonna own the league for a decade. Maybe. I think whatever concerns there were about him coming into the league, as far as literally every single player in the history of the league, 7'4" or taller, has dealt with massive health issues, still remain. And the fact that as great as he is, I am yet to see the real obvious improvement from last year to this year. And I happen to believe he does not yet play a game that takes full advantage of his size. He is still one of, at worst, the 6 best players in the sport. And he absolutely already is good enough to be on a team as well built as the Spurs, the best player on a champion.
But Nick, you saw he's going to learn that stuff faster than Shaq and LeBron learned it. Like, Shaq and LeBron also learned that they have to play better in the post. Shaq developing more moves that made him an MVP, and LeBron just playing in the post in general. He's going to learn it. He's 21 or whatever. How old is he?
That's a great question. 22. But just turned 22. I would have also said 21. That wasn't a gotcha moment. I just was checking. Yes, I agree. He is going to learn those things. What I wonder is this. I wonder if he will, young Shaq and young LeBron, even though they had a lot of things to learn, still leaned into their physical gifts. Young Shaq was ripping down backboards and showing the league, even if he didn't do it as consistently, the fact that I am the best athlete in the league and the strongest guy in the league is going to be my strength. Young LeBron, before he learned to shoot, that was his strength. Wemby being 7'7", in my opinion, is his strength, and it seems to me like he goes back and forth game to game between leaning into that versus leaning into the fact that he is the most skilled 7'3" guy or taller in league history. And that's where and again, it's not real concern. I just pump the brakes on this one guy is going to have a decade-long reign. I don't know that I'm there yet with him.
Nick, so I like the take, and the take that I was cooking up is right now we need OKC more than ever because of what Wemby's able to do. And I know in the beginning of the season, he was playing more inside, but then he had the calf strain, then he was out for a while, and now he's trying to drift a little bit more outside and play outside. The take was we thought OKC was going to win 80 games this year. We thought they were going to be the most unstoppable team of all time. They've backslided a lot. They've lost 4 out of 5 to Wemby and the Spurs. But we need them right now to block Wemby from whatever's happening there.
The idea, Nick, that I live in a world where you're fixing the NBA with Bill Simmons, and what I'm watching from these athletes is that Wemby has already made Antetokounmpo the old iPhone. Like, that evolution is crazy.
I disagree, and what I'm saying is I disagree with that. And that's where I think we are. So I think we get ahead of ourselves on a lot of this stuff. First of all, 5 of the last 6 NBA champions, a month into the season where they were the defending champion, everyone's like, well, they're obviously gonna win it again, and none of them made the finals. None of them made the conference finals in the year back. So as dominant as OKC was, a team that did need 7 games to win the championship last year, the nobody is going to stop this team, I thought felt, even though I was buying into it as well a bit because it felt different, but it felt like the Celtics and the Bucks. And hell, people forget the Lakers when they were defending champs. The Nuggets for sure. The only defending champ this decade that didn't feel inevitable to return was Golden State. What's up, Mike? It's backslid?
It's backslid. I'm stupid.
Oh, you're fine.
He said backslided. Don't worry about it.
That's all right.
It's all good. Everybody knew what he meant. What are you out here doing, grammar checks?
Yeah, they like to do this to me.
You know what? That feels targeted, and I wouldn't take it, brother.
Oh, they do it to me. Talk to
it. But now I have to regain my train of thought.
You don't have to. It's okay. I wanted to talk football with you anyway, and we've backslided into way too much basketball.
Now you're talking.
So I want to ask you, from the game or the halftime show, which is your preferred topic point? Which do you think is more interesting?
Here's the thing. Last time you did a choose your own adventure style thing, and I chose the sports, and then I did the real life stuff after, you got mad at me, so I will start with the real life stuff.
Not mad at you, just the floor is yours. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
You've got
so
10 minutes.
I will start with the real life stuff. So I understand this is maybe a dangerous room and shipping container to admit this to. But prior to the halftime show, I was not very familiar with the work of Bad Bunny. I know I had heard his song, I know he has a song with J Balvin and Cardi B. I know he's wildly popular, but I was not very familiar with him, okay? So I went into that as pretty, ignorant to the guy's music as anybody, and I'm also not really a big music guy. I'm more of, believe it or not, a sports podcast guy when I'm walking around or in my car. So I have a lot of musical, vacancies in my brain. But it takes a sub 70 IQ to not recognize, even though you couldn't understand if you didn't speak Spanish, the words of the songs, that what this guy was trying to show America and the world at large is, on the stuff that matters, we're all basically the same. We all have weddings like that, just with different music and different food. We all have the old people in our community who hang out together by, maybe it's old ladies playing bridge in some cultural communities, maybe it's mahjong in others, maybe it's dominoes in those. We all have these things that collectively, connectively make us human. And the differentiators are absolutely meaningless to the bigger, the cultural differentiators are not the important thing. The important thing is we all celebrate, live, and die similarly. And I thought it was a beautiful message. And I also thought he did a better job than I think a lot of people would have done, and some people wouldn't even call it better job, but he had more self-control in making it objectively apolitical by leading off the end with God bless America, and then rolling in all of the other nations, all of the other Latin countries, all of the Western Hemisphere countries. It was a true artistic attempt at uniting a massive group of people. And the fact that the response from some people who fancy themselves not only not dumb, but thoughtful or smart or tastemakers, or maybe even one day wannabe presidential candidates was, I sure wish I understood the lyrics, either shows a willful ignorance, an ossification of one's heart, or that you're just a dope. And so, again, choose your own adventure on which door that applies to if you're one of those folks that was allegedly outraged by this. But I don't give a damn about Bad Bunny's music. I knew none of Bad Bunny's music, and I thought the message in that 15 minutes was beautiful. And I thought it should have been pretty obvious to everyone what the message was.
But what ended up happening afterward was sound like this. So explain and take us through what it is your reaction is. And you've answered some of this when you hear sound like this from Shitstain and Sid Rosenberg.
It was a bad football game, and when you couple that with Bad Bunny, who may have been the worst halftime show, not one word of English, one word of English, one word. You combine the halftime show and the football game, I think Clay would agree. He's a great sports guy, too. What a waste of 3 hours.
Right. Clay, Bad Bunny, I didn't get one word. I took German in high school. So
I watched it with my dad. He said he's 81. He said, hey, this is the worst football game top to bottom ever. So Super Bowl. So I think he was right on that one.
Although Turning Point put together a great show.
Sid looks great.
He does.
It's a hell of a mustache. So I
try to catch him.
What's wrong?
That doesn't
You know how hard it
surprise
is
me.
to throw him off there? You know how good you have to be with those Sid Rosenberg heads to throw this man off?
Or you can just hold up a sign that says backslide.
I mean, that's to me not even that disappointing or surprising. That's just put the coin in the machine and get what you know you're going to get. It was more other people that I have more professional or personal regard for than some of the people on that screen you just showed me, which of course, was on, a sister network of the one who pays all my bills. And so that doesn't surprise me. The other folks that tried to, let me say what I'm actually trying to say. I owe that to you guys. I have more respect for that than folks who try to both sides this stuff. Who try to be like, listen, I'm a straight shooter. I just call it how I see it. And gosh darn it, that sure, I understand why that bothered people. Even if I'm not, it's just, everybody knows what you're doing, man.
But you have conflicts, I guess, that everyone knows you're talking about Stephen A. Smith without saying it's about Stephen A. Smith. How about the football itself? How about
for the record, listen, I don't think Stephen A. was the only person I was talking about there, but of course, and my conflicts are not there. I don't mind saying this. He can be upset with me or not. You guys know how much professional regard and respect I have for him in the sports take field, and that he is the rabbit that I am chasing professionally. I've said that. I've been open with that. That is not contradictory to the fact that I find a lot of his political commentary to be so transparent in I am trying to make sure that I don't ever have to actually give a real opinion. All I'm trying to do is expand my tent as big as possible. I think that is, in times like we are in now and on important real life topics, I find that to be a damaging approach. Now, on the game itself, if we may for a moment or two, the question, so this is what has gotten thrown at me. I can't hold Drake May's Super Bowl performance against him because I am the captain of the team that it is logically ridiculous to say losing a round early is better than making the final round and losing there. And it's all, it's all fruit of the poisonous LeBron tree. And
that tree has not been poisonous for you. That tree has been bountiful for you, the poisonous LeBron tree.
Yeah. I mean, Tony, you still like the watch, bro?
I do. I was going to say we can make a bet for next season.
Yeah. And this, by the way, a week from today, you guys can watch it on Poker Go's YouTube. I'll be playing in a game where table stakes are about this watch and against some of the best players in the world and some businessmen. And that game will probably end with me either getting another one or, if it goes real poorly, this being like, hey, what's the price of gold per ounce at the moment? But that's neither here nor there. So here is my big takeaway. Going into the playoff run, I thought Drake May was a lock, top 5 quarterback in the league moving forward. I just thought he checked so many of the boxes that I care about. The athleticism, the arm strength, the fact that he was so young or is so young, all of those things. He's in a good organization, good head coach. He was so irredeemably bad in every single first half and in at least 2, if not 3 of the games overall that I have downgraded where he is now to me alongside Caleb Williams on the probably will be awesome, but I'm not 100% certain yet.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And
you're just holding against him the fact that I think he faced in the playoffs, and you expect this to be great and grow, but the 3 worst defenses that will expose anyone who has skill position problems and offensive line problems. Like there couldn't have been a 4th defense that's even close to the 3 that made him look like that. And I'm with you. He looked progressively worse in each of the games.
So here's why because I keep hearing that. Because obviously, host of the TV show, Kevin Wilde's diehard Pats fan. You get credit if you played one of, if not the toughest run of defenses in a playoff run ever, and you played mediocre. I then give you a curve of, man, you played unreal defenses and you were able to be mediocre. If you played these incredibly tough defenses and played awful every spot, that to me, you don't get a boost from that. Like you get a boost if you're in an AP class and get a 70 on a test, and it's like, okay, in a regular class, that's probably a 90. But if you get a 15, nobody's like, well, it was a hard test. It's like, no, you failed, bro. And I thought the fumbles were highly problematic. I thought some of those sacks were on him. I understand, taking a decent guard at 4 overall to play left tackle hurt him. I get that. But I also, I couldn't, in the Super Bowl, clearly Vrabel thought, and he was almost right, Darnold's just going to give it to us. And what was so disturbing to me about that Super Bowl from Drake May's perspective is first 9 drives of the game, no turnovers, just punts. And the moment it was like, man, now we've got to make plays. Final 5 drives of the game, all turnovers or touchdowns. And it felt like, ooh, that's kind of the Texans game too, right? You were hunting big plays, hit 3 of them, and fumbled 4 times and threw a pick. The Broncos game, you were so conservative on, I am not going to make the mistake. You made no big plays. It felt like what was exposed a bit this postseason was, against legitimate defenses, the cost of doing business for Drake May at this point in trying to make big plays is some catastrophic mistakes. And that is concerning. And then one other point on this. I am hereby demanding that the NFL take, it can be a 6th round pick, I don't care, a draft pick from the New England Patriots for the Super Bowl injury report. Because I am not going to have a 6-month offseason of Patriot fans saying, well, he was hurt, his shoulder was shot up, it was an injury, and the Patriots, the day before the most gambled on football game of the year, removing him from the injury report saying he's fine.
He's right.
Those two things can't both happen.
He's the host of FS1's First Things First. What's Right with Nick Wright is the podcast he does with his son. I urge you to check that out. It is personal, it is intimate, and it shows you more of him than the TV show does because there's just more room. Thank you, Nick. Good talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Zaz. Tony, I got your back, bro.
Let's
I
go.
don't want to mess with you. Talk to you later.
I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of the things that he said, but before I do that, can you guys get me the audio of the last interception that Drake May threw? Because Julian Love, who intercepted it, called it on the sideline. We have the audio here. This is pretty cool audio if you want to be inside of the game and just hear what it sounds like when somebody is predicting that they're about to do something, then they do it, then they're running to the sideline scared because people are chasing them with the football.
No!
Coming to you?
Yeah.
He's coming to you?
Yeah. That's all right, though. I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to give me one. Classic young quarterback. As soon as that back foot hits, he's going to where he wants, but he's pausing for a second to confirm that he's open. He's not blindly doing like Stafford. There's like a little hitch there. Okay. But you can see you jumped that.
May from the shotgun. 2nd down and 3. Steps up in the pocket, gonna let one fly down the seam, and it's intercepted. Julian Love. Julian Love is right where he's supposed to be at free safety.
You knew yours was coming.
I'm telling you.
You've been in the right spot the whole time.
How about a little pick in the soupy? Come on, dude.
Love you, bro.
Love you, dude.
The most damning.
Pick in the soupy at the end there.
Unnecessary to say it that way.
They just won a championship. What's up with you?
I dig it.
Sam Darnold and him after the game, he's like, how about a pick in the soupy?
Yeah. How much did you love the Stafford thing, too?
Oh,
yeah, that was cool.
Dan's ears perked up.
Classic young
Stafford.
Quarterback. He's taking that little half beat to make sure the guy's open. He doesn't throw it blindly like Stafford. That right there. That should have just been the deciding vote. Not the dude that voted for Justin Herbert. They should have just played that at the NFL honors.
That's why the Rams are better than the Seahawks.
I would have given, as soon as Matthew Stafford threw a no-look pass in a game-winning drive against the Bengals in the Super Bowl, I would have given him all future MVPs until he decided to stop playing.
Oh, the Wemby conversation.
I mean, just no-look passes in the Super Bowl on the last drive. I'll never forget that. And Cooper Kupp's the only receiver he has. Everyone knows the ball's going to him, and there's no way to stop it. But as it relates to losing confidence in Drake May, as Nick Wright said, Mike Ryan was telling me I agree with Nick, and he's been a big Drake May buyer. I just thought that we were all in agreement that the Patriots wildly overachieved, that their skill guys were weak, and Will Campbell still apologizing for I allowed so many pressures. So I thought we were all of the understanding that the first 2 games were weather and bad matchups defensively if you've got offensive line problems. Houston, Denver pass rush, an apocalypse for any quarterback, Stafford included. I don't think Stafford would have looked like that if he had to go against Denver and Houston, even though he did look like that against the Seahawks, because I believe the Seahawks and them have played enough that Stafford's learned enough that nothing's going to surprise Stafford when he's playing the Seahawks. Whereas I thought before that game was played, I thought that Houston's defense and Denver's defense were a unique set of problems for Drake May. If we're in agreement that his team overachieved, went from 4-13 to 14-3, the biggest turnaround in history, does it not stand to reason they didn't have enough players?
It does. It does. It's not a total capitulation. I just crowned his ass too soon. He was bad in that Super Bowl, and I know you outlined all the great defenses that he played. He was bad.
Mike, he was bad.
He went up against a good defense, and on top of that was pretty bad.
He was unrecognizable in those last 3 games that he played. But I gave you the stat. The only teams that got more plays from their rookies this year were the Browns, the Titans, and the Jets, all incompetent. Like, clearly that's a skill problem around him.
Yeah, but there's enough context, too, with it. Like, he got fat off of some really bad teams. I don't think any quarterbacks ever played so many teams that ended up firing their head coach. Like, there is some context that allows you to scrutinize their run. They made it. They were the last team from the AFC, but the AFC was a bit bonkers this year.
But to Nick's point, like, was he hurt the whole postseason? I mean, right? Like, are we giving any level of credence to that's why he performed so poor?
If he's getting a shot, I don't think it's an excuse. Like, it can be both. It can be, I guess, an excuse and an explanation. Like, he was unrecognizable. Like, it's even the simple throws. Like, even if I say to you all of what I just said, limited offensively in a million different ways, great defense as well, and furthermore, he was scared. Obviously scared, and should have been, because I imagine there's some post-traumatic stress disorder. In the last 3 games you've played, unique set of matchups that overwhelm your offensive line, pass rush galore, and also I can't do anything, and now I'm sinking. I'm sinking because we can't do anything at all. If I tell you on top of that he was bad, easy throws, bad, beyond all the other stuff, it was confusing to me to see him be unrecognizable.
Right, that Julian Love clip makes Julian Love seem like a cyborg, but it was a bad throw. Like, it was an awful throw. Like, if he throws him to where he anticipates the route's
he didn't
going
jump
to,
any route or
that's
anything.
a huge chunk play.
Yeah.
And in that game situation there, it changes the game. Like, yeah, they were on his ass, but he threw a really bad ball.
I think the story of the postseason is that defense still wins Super Bowls. But Drake May, if you're going to say the Patriots overachieved all season, that's because Drake May had such a great season. You know, he wasn't second in the MVP voting as a fluke. And I think he just turned 23. I don't think he's fully developed yet. I wouldn't give up on him as a top 5 quarterback. I think that's premature.
But to the point that Mike is making, all right, that they played 7 playoff teams this year, and in those games, his TD to turnover ratio was 11-11. Like, he had as many turnovers as touchdowns. When he played the 14 non-playoff teams, it was 31-8. Like, he did feed off of bad teams, and then when he ran into the good one, he got handcuffed. But those are the 3 best defenses in the league that he played back-to-back, 2 of them in bad weather, and also, on top of that, because I don't think this part's irrelevant. Like, this part, I saw Zaz perk up when he's like, yeah, why wasn't he on the injury report? That sport hide so many injuries that I never know if Stafford's throwing the interceptions because his finger's hurt and they've been hiding that he's got like some dislocated index finger. Like
yeah, sometimes it's awfully convenient too. Like I think Tom Brady for like 7 straight years showed up on the Patriots injury report when he wasn't actually haven't
hurt. They been gonged for manipulating it? Like haven't they been?
Vrabel is from that culture.
They put everybody questionable.
They're all day to day.
They have 15 guys questionable every week.
Look, I'm still a believer in Drake May. I'm rattled because that was a really bad game. He's off to a better start to his career than most quarterbacks, and the one that I like to compare him to, Josh Allen, he's off to a much better start than Josh Allen was, and he's already gotten further than Josh Allen ever has. I think they'll be back, but they very clearly need to build around him. He's not this demigod.
And as far as seeming overwhelmed in the Super Bowl on that stage, he should be at that age. He was the youngest starter in the Super Bowl since Dan Marino in '84. I mean, give him a little bit of slack.
This year they were aided by what they did last year, which was obviously be a 4-win team. This year they were easy. They had all the easy games on their schedule. Now being 14-3, now they're going to get all the tough games next year. And now we're going to see, okay, do they get A.J. Brown in the offseason? Are they trying to shore up the offensive line? Like, what do they do there? Because next year we're going to see the rubber meet the road in a big way.
All right, so but give me some help here historically between all of you.
I love it when a rubber meets a road.
Talking sports
in a big way.
Talking pony.
In a big way.
It's not just rubber hitting the road, but it's happening in a big way.
Do you disagree?
The part that I disagree with, and I want to bring it up with all of you because I don't think it's fair. In my lifetime, I have seen precious few quarterbacks that I believe can be the demigod that you guys are talking about. When these are the particular problems, I feel like your skill guys aren't that good and your offensive line is getting caved in because it's not that good, and then it gets injured at the end of the season. John Elway is one, but there are very few quarterbacks that I have seen on what I think is a bad team, and they were a bad team last year, and they added a bunch of new guys who are learning how to play football, because it's not like a bunch of free agents. They turned over the entirety of the roster, and they got more plays from their rookies than any team in the league. Those guys don't know how to play football yet.
Dan, I agree with you, but we don't have to look that far. Look at Chicago. They were a terrible offensive line. They had terrible weapons on the outside, and Caleb Williams looked like a total shell, right? They bring in Ben Johnson. They shore up guys in the offensive line. They get weapons on the outside, and now he looks like the Iceman. He's great now.
But he scored 17 points in a game against the Rams, and one of them was a 4th down throw that he's running back to his 50-yard line and throwing it to Cole Kmet.
They were the best team in football.
Okay, but I'm saying at the end they got eliminated because they scored all of 17 points, and one of them was and 7 of them were asinine. Like in whatever the last game was, no matter how much I believe in Caleb Williams, you're giving Caleb Williams more credit for losing a round earlier than you are Drake May for losing a round later.
We always do that. We always the guy who loses in the Super Bowl, if he plays poorly, gets so much more criticism than the QB who lost in the wild card round. We always do that.
I hate that the narrative is what's wrong with Drake May when it should be Seattle's defense. Oh my God.
Pablo's got another one. It came out at 5 o'clock in the morning. He's another one, an 8th installment of this Aspiration Clippers thing. He's next.
In-flight magazines. Slayed the pandemic. Traveling again. Big bird up. But something's different. I look in the seat pocket in front of me, and all I see is that cardboard pamphlet about the plane that nobody reads, the drink menu nobody needs, and the barf bag. Where's my in-flight magazine? Where did it go? Joni was right. Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot, and then stole my in-flight magazine. These staples of Americana predated even Greg Cody. Pan Am Airways published the first IFM in 1940. Now the high-flying mags are disappearing like donuts in a press box. Southwest Rag, augustly called simply The Magazine, is gone now. Delta Sky, gone. American Way, gone. Retired after 55 years. Alaska and Emirates Airlines, too, gone. Airline magazines falling from the sky one by one. Some others, like United Hemispheres, are now digital only. Blame the pandemic. COVID killed the in-flight magazine, or rather gave airlines an excuse to make a cutback like businesses did with remote meetings where the office buildings used to be. But more than that is to blame. The digital era stampeded the helpless handheld mag. In-flight entertainment and mobile browsing happened. Airlines have even claimed noble reasons for discontinuing their magazines, like how removing all of them makes planes lighter, which saves on fuel. Sounds like malarkey. Hurtling cabins once were full of rattling newspaper pages held wide. Then those disappeared, and then I was the last flyer still leafing through an in-flight magazine while everybody else was softly chuckling at a movie or listening to music with earbuds. I miss every bit of the airline magazine, the greeting from the airline president, the Penn and Teller at the Rio ad, the dating and hair restoration ads, and the one inviting me to invest in a home care franchise, things to do in Minneapolis, the list of top 10 steakhouses and America's best plastic surgeons, the crossword puzzle inevitably half-finished and poorly by a previous seat occupant. Oh, and the feature story on Southwest Customer Service Agent of the Month. You can't get that anywhere else. Most of all, I miss, anybody else remember Sky Mall? Oh, yes. My gosh. It was Amazon before Amazon, only at 30,000 feet. Talk about built-in marketing. Bored flyers stuck in a cabin for 3 hours slamming cocktails are liable to buy anything, which Sky Mall offered. I'll never forget the time, after 3 or 4 deep eddies, I accidentally bought a life-size Bigfoot garden gnome for $2,250. Airlines, I will gladly pay extra if the bag I check is a pound too heavy. I'll put up with your cancellations and with a hot meal being replaced by a 1-ounce bag of pretzels. Just please give me back my in-flight magazine. See, I never played that Sudoku puzzle, but I sure did like knowing it was there. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
The game has changed. Weed is legal now with Stugotz and Greg Cody.
I'll tell a story if it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
When I first took the first edible I ever took was in New York, and at the time I was breaking the law. Okay, so now you can feel good about telling your story. And the guy told me, "Hey, just eat half of this." And so I ate half, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I didn't feel anything. And he begged me just to eat half. And he did say on the front end it might take a while, but I was impatient.
Right.
Because when you smoke marijuana, you get instant gratification. And waiting an hour or two for something to kick in was not something I was familiar with.
Right.
So I ate another half, which became a full cookie. And 60 minutes later, I don't remember anything. I woke up the next morning on the floor in my wife's uncle's apartment because Abby had to throw me into a cab with her, and she took me home. And I was curled up in the fetal position, and I don't remember a thing after the second half of that cookie.
Wow.
This was last Wednesday. So, with that being said, feel free to share your story of you having 4 cookies in Colorado.
Yeah, I wolfed them down. It was 3 or 4. I didn't know
3
how.
or 4?
Yeah,
You don't
wolfed them
ask?
down.
You don't
Well,
say, "Hey, person I'm purchasing this from, how fast should I do these?"
The guy at the thing, and it was one of those official things where they dress like pharmacists in there, and they sold me a vial of edible cookies, and it was in Colorado, so it's 100% legal. And my wife and I are getting ready to go to dinner. We popped open the thing. She had a nibble of one, and I ate, I think, probably 2 or 3, and it hit me by the time we got to that restaurant.
I just love how terrified you are of this conversation. You keep throwing in there like it's perfectly legal what I did.
To be fair to Greg, this has not exactly been, the most up and up thing to talk about for 60 years of his life.
Right, exactly.
This is a fairly recent phenomenon. We just go, "Oh yeah, everything's fine now."
No, and I don't, we did that because we were vacationing in Colorado, and I wanted to
Stop giving qualifiers.
I have to give a qualifier.
Greg, more qualifiers.
It feels better when you're doing it legally. It
Right,
does.
I don't smoke anymore. I mean, I don't do that. I did in
Totally
college.
lying, trying to make them feel better. I mean,
Thank you. Thanks for that.
getting away with it was much more fun. I mean, seriously.
I had my day doing that. So
we used to get dime bags at a place in Hillside, Queens. It was called the Tie Door. Oh, was it fantastic? You never saw the guy. You just saw his hand. You would see his
like
hand.
a first touch in a marriage?
Yeah, you would open up this little sliding door in Hillside, Queens. You would see his hand. He would see your hand. You'd never see each other. He'd put weed in your hand. You would put money in his hand, and that was it. That was a transaction. It was great. Called the Tie Door.
Weed first, then money?
Money first.
Oh, there
well,
you go.
it was like you would do it at the same time, but occasionally.
So you'd see both hands.
Yes, correct.
Once every 6 months, you'd hear stories of like some guy sticking his hand and then getting arrested on the spot. The cuffs right on the wrist. That's all you see, the wrist, and then.
I always wondered, is today going to be the day? Because I went every day. And it wasn't far from my house. But is today the day that it's going to be a cop on the other side of that door? I did. I feared that every single day. But it didn't stop me from going out there every single day. Hop, skip, and a jump.
Is that fear worth it?
Yes. The fear is what made it. Greg's right. Now you walk in, they're dressed like they're experts,
Right.
pharmacists.
Yeah.
It made me a little nervous. I mean, more nervous than meeting a guy at a Tie Door, never seeing him, just
It's crazy that they're just aliens now.
But we knew that, Mike.
No, we kind of knew
Tony
that.
knew.
But they're just saying it. You have Congress people just openly saying,
get them out. Not illegal aliens.
No,
space interdimensional beings.
The little green men, the Martians, the ones you've watched Independence Day. They're here. Yeah, you just have a congressman being.
There's
talked to
tanks
on
of
the
aliens
side.
somewhere. You think?
There was a congressman that said there are 5 to 6 alien bases underwater that I know of.
I believe him.
Yeah, of course I believe.
Why wouldn't you believe a congressman today?
Not only the congressman. Anybody who says it. Yeah, okay, sure. We've got aliens here in our midst.
They're living among us.
Dan rips the crust off a pizza and eats it.
That's huge alien behavior. In fact, all 3 guys in that studio, if you were to tell me that they were aliens, I'd be like, it checks out.
Most likely, though, who would be most
It's
likely?
Dan, and I'll tell you the reason why. Dan is almost evolved enough. I think Greg and Zaz are done evolving.
I think my dad's the least, actually, in this game.
Just go back and listen to the way Dan eats pizza. It's pretty easy.
Dan says things sometimes where I'm like, wait a second, why did he say that?
Dan
that
always
way?
talks weird.
Yeah, he's kind of an alien. Like the commissary, and it's like, no, it's the kitchen. Why'd you come commissary?
Change the subject. They're on to us.
The kitchen area, not the commissary.
You said the commissary one time.
The eating area.
That's also another weird thing that an alien would say.
Yeah.
In a couple years' time, once our mission is carried out, they're all just going to be intergalactic space dust, and we will go back to our Lord next to the Nebula Galaxy.
And our Lord, of course, is Mad Dog Russo, which I believe everyone, if we told the audience that Wemby was an alien, we'd be like, yeah, well, how did we not see that? Mad Dog Russo is an alien. But before I get to Pablo Torre, because he's got another one of these reports, and it's newsy, and it's got a ton of stuff, and I really don't know whether aspiration is the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, but I think it might be just the tip of the iceberg, because he's got more crud in here, and I thought aspiration was the iceberg, and we just find tips, but there's more iceberg. Jeremy, what's the update we have on the pizza eating front? Because Juju admitted after the show, you guys are sitting here making fun of me, and amongst us, there's someone who tears off the crust before he eats pizza.
I was seething yesterday. I feel like I've never been as belligerent on air toward you, on air or off air, about anything, because I was like, this person is not from this planet. I said it on the air.
Why would you even want to tear off the crust?
Again, take it up with Juju.
But forget that part of it.
But I've seen Juju.
You got an ally with Juju? He's like, I'm good on this.
But forget that part.
They're telling us the aliens are here, and we're just going on about our day.
I've seen Juju eat pizza. He doesn't rip off the crust. I've seen him eat it.
But I go home yesterday, and I'm complaining to my wife. Because it's sticking with me. I am infuriated about the fact that Dan claims that there are humans on this earth
and then touch the cheese and
rip
sauce.
off the crust before they eat pizza. And then my wife says to me, I do that sometimes.
Oh, my God.
There is.
And I told her it was a betrayal akin to murdering a member of my family. I was so furious about that. And then she says,
but you've never seen her do
and
it?
then she says, because I said, well, we've been together for 12 years. Like, how have you don't do this. I've eaten pizza with you 100 times. And she says, well, normally I would just do it by myself.
Alien.
Do it by myself.
It isn't a lone move.
But why? Why
Crazy.
wouldn't you keep the crust so your fingers don't get all dirty?
Insanity.
We have verified intelligence from the Soviets that they had an interaction with beings that are not from this planet,
He's right
and they
about that.
turned into stone.
Turns out my wife's not from this planet.
Pablo Torre finds out, is still finding out. He had another 5 a.m. drop that is haunting the Clippers. And I really don't know what's the most interesting thing in here. I will ask Pablo. But here is some of the updating around some of the reporting. We will say allegedly about all things because the Clippers are denying all things. There is a Jerry West voicemail in which he calls the Lakers a shit show. And the hints, the strong sniffs that that Ballmer was interested in Kawhi as long back as 2017. And there's more stuff here on how many side deals are beyond the aspiration deal. Pablo's again got emails. He's got contracts. He's got documents. He's got 3 separate lawsuits. Again, a lawsuit doesn't mean that it's proof. One of the lawsuits has been dismissed by a judge, but they have valuable information in there that suggests, among other things, that the Clippers had a side deal allegedly with Uncle Dennis to make sure that he got a percentage okayed by Lawrence Frank, again, alleged to hire Kawhi's trainer, which you're not allowed to do if you're trying to keep things above board on the salary cap. So Uncle Dennis has an assortment of LLCs, but I'll allow Pablo to come in here now. Thank you for joining us, Pablo. The episode is flying right now. Pablo Torre finds out because he's the only place any of this information is coming. I thought he was doing this story just because the All-Star game is in Los Angeles. The Clippers are hosting it in Balmer. I thought it was a timeliness grab. No, there's a ton of new information inside of this. Pablo, what would you say is the most...
What if we never toss to Pablo and we just keep talking?
What is the most interesting thing in there?
Look, I want to start with a quote from, and thank you for having me, a quote from Michael Winger, who was the Clippers GM at the time, which I've confirmed from multiple sources inside the building. Quote, how many fucking side deals have we made with Kawhi? And so what does that mean? How many side deals are there? You get to the stuff that Dane was alluding to. And one of these things, by the way, is documentation that aspiration is just the tip. It starts in 2017 when Kawhi was with the Spurs. And the question, as always, is what did Steve Ballmer know and when did he know it? Well, in 2017, when Uncle Dennis and the Spurs and Kawhi are having their falling out over medical disputes and personal information, they go and they get Randy Shelton, who was Kawhi's trainer, his personal Tim Grover, as he put it in the episode, in 2017. And they tell him, we're going to hire you if Kawhi comes to this team.
Tim Grover is Michael Jordan's trainer, famously. So just the guy who's working on Kawhi's body, forgive me for offering the context, but the most famous sports trainer there's been is Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's trainer.
Right. So I'll just take it chronologically because they recruit Kawhi in 2017. They hire this assistant GM, Mark Hughes, who was also a former San Diego State guy. They send Mark Hughes to talk allegedly to Randy Shelton more than a dozen times. They promise him a job. Lawrence Frank allegedly talks to Randy Shelton, promises him a job. And what is not so clear until now is that Uncle Dennis is being used as Randy Shelton's agent. And so we have Randy Shelton's contract. There's this dispute going on in LA court. Is headed to private mediation right now. The Clippers, of course, deny everything. Randy Shelton does the opposite. But we have this document that shows that Uncle Dennis is the representative, the listed representative on Randy Shelton's contract on his extension now into 2021. Right? And so what does that mean? It means that after the NBA investigated the Clippers and Uncle Dennis for cap circumvention and all this stuff in 2019, they were still directly doing business with a guy, I am told, in order to get him money directly via the commission on the trainer that they shouldn't have been talking to when he was a San Antonio Spur-associated employee of Kawhi Leonard. And
are you guys following this? You basically have a trail that leads back to Ballmer trying to get to Kawhi since 2017. The most powerful sports owner there is, allegedly trying to do everything inside of this to ignore what are understood rules of the sport because he doesn't have to respect rules of the sport if there are no legal consequences to not respecting rules of the sport. Again, all alleged.
But the thing that I keep on juxtaposing this against, Dan, is the idea that Steve Ballmer in the present tense is saying now in this other lawsuit filed by 11 aspiration investors that he did thorough due diligence on aspiration. And of course, we have documentation, the email chain, the privileged information with Ballmer's chief investment officer and his lawyers and aspirations lawyers that show that, oh, wait a minute, he did this in an insanely fast time frame at the founder of Aspiration's urging, and now Steve Ballmer says that I did thorough due diligence and still I got scammed, right? And so all of this is to show that when Steve Ballmer does thorough due diligence, he does it thoroughly. He does it years before it's even able to go get Kawhi Leonard. And so then, you mentioned the voicemail, right? It takes us to another lawsuit that was filed. And this one got dismissed because Johnny Wilkes, who's the man who filed this suit, is the high school basketball teammate of Dennis Robertson, Uncle Dennis. And he was saying, I was promised $2.5 million by Jerry West to bring Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers. And of course, he didn't have a written contract. That's a through line in the story of Johnny Wilkes in this case. But here is the voicemail that Jerry West leaves Johnny Wilkes that illustrates how much of a full court press of thorough due diligence the Clippers have been doing. This one from 2019.
I can't believe you got this.
This is Jerry calling. I really want to thank you a lot for, trying to help. I heard this morning that everyone over in the Lakers camp thinks they're going to get him. I just find that hard to believe that he would want to go to that show where he would not even be, wouldn't even get his name in the paper, and he wouldn't be the face of the franchise, that's for sure. He might be the best player on the team, but hope things are well. And, well, again, I really, really appreciate everything you've done.
Jerry West as the logo and a Laker, calling the Lakers a shit show in the recruitment of Kawhi Leonard. It's like the fifth most interesting thing in this episode if I had to rank it, and I found it super interesting.
Yeah, and we have texts between Jerry West and Steve Ballmer, who's being kept updated by Jerry West about all of this. This is Jerry West, by the way, texting Johnny Wilkes, the plug for Dennis Robertson. Just wanted to thank you for your help. If he would go to the Lakers, he would be LeBron's caddy. Right? So this is head-to-head, Lakers versus Clippers. The Clippers see this as existential. They need Kawhi Leonard to save. Doc Rivers would later say, if we didn't get Kawhi Leonard, we should just move the team to Seattle. Okay? And he said, I meant that. It was a joke, but I meant that. That's the stakes of this for the Clippers. That's why Steve Ballmer is putting all of this money in. And Jerry West, by the way, who was a former, of course, executive with the Warriors, who was famed for his recruiting there, Dennis Wong, who was the co-owner of the Clippers, Steve Ballmer's college buddy, the lone limited partner he has on the team, who's come up in this series before as another aspiration investor, a guy who was in on this whole scheme, according to our reporting. He's the guy who says, we got to get Jerry West. And Jerry West is deployed to do this, okay? And so it's Steve Ballmer, it's Lawrence Frank, and then this array of guys, Jerry West, Mark Hughes, they're reaching out to Johnny Wilkes, to Randy Shelton. And it takes us, by the way, to the present tense when 4-year extension is the announcement for Lawrence Frank.
Can we stop there? Can we stop there for a second, guys, and sort of absorb that? In the middle of this scandal, and Pablo's showing you the documentation that allegedly links Lawrence Frank very completely. It's meticulous. It's got addresses on it, on how it is that the circumvention is happening, how it is that Kawhi Leonard out of nowhere takes a $9 million discount. Lawrence Frank, after that disaster of a press conference before the season, signs an extension, and that could look like, oh, I got to keep this guy on my side. He knows everything. Like, I've got to keep paying this guy to make sure that he doesn't tell anybody anything that links me to anybody if I need a fall guy a few years from now.
And that's not abstract conjecture. That is NBA executives telling me they view Lawrence Frank's extension as, quote-unquote, Ballmer hush money, as it seems like maybe someone with lots of money is trying to disrupt my internet connection here. Well, do we have that, though, Dan, the Lawrence Frank presser? Because I just want to make clear, like, Lawrence Frank got asked about this stuff once. No one else wants to talk about this, but he got asked about it at Media Day, and here was what he said about the rules.
We haven't learned anything more than we have back in September, and to be honest with you, it doesn't impact anything we do. We know it's out there. We know at some point there'll be a decision made. We very much feel the same thing that we told you back in September, that we're on the right side of this. And then whenever they make the decision, they make the decision, but it really doesn't impact anything we do on a daily basis.
So the part that I have not talked about yet until this part of the timeline, right? We're going back in time to 2017. We're also finally getting to the post-aspiration era. Aspiration, keep in mind, bankruptcy filing, right? They owe Kawhi Leonard $7 million, according to the paperwork that was filed with the government. He is a creditor. And so what's interesting is that aspiration collapses. They owe him $7 million, and Kawhi Leonard signs this extension in January of 24, right? January 24, he signs a sub-max extension. He leaves money on the table, Dan. That's what you were just alluding to. And the question is, why would this guy who has extracted money via Uncle Dennis as much as anyone has ever seen before in pro sports at every possible edge, why would he take a discount? And what we show in this episode is that perhaps coincidentally, I guess, 3 new LLCs are created with Uncle Dennis as the representative, as the manager, the guy on the paperwork in the week before that. And so our investigation, when you say aspiration is just the start, this is what I mean. It is documentation and signals everywhere in a pattern, by the way, that starts with Randy Shelton, who started KL2 Performance LLC in 2017. Let's not forget that. That was the first of the KL2s, into now January of 24 with KL2 RIFC, KL2 RIFC Real Estate LLC. And all of this stuff is signaling that this story, in many ways, is just starting.
Can you believe
if
that?
the NBA cares about it.
Can you believe that part, okay? Just understand when Pablo is doing 8 installments of this, this was the first episode where I was like, wait a minute, the original story was shocking. Wait, this is going to get a lot worse than this? Like, it's going to be more than just $48 million for a no-show job. It's also going to have Kawhi taking $9 million in discounts that we can chronicle, because God knows how many places some of this could have been existing if the world's richest sports owner is trying to conceal from everybody in a meticulous fashion that he's not going to play by the NBA's rules, because how are you going to touch him if he can do it creatively? Like, I really was shocked as I was listening to this to be like, wait a minute, aspiration can't be the tip of the iceberg. It has to be the iceberg.
But here's the thing that keeps on happening to Steve Ballmer and Lawrence Frank, right? So they keep trusting people to keep a secret that they care about very, very deeply, which is NBA rule breaking. And so they trust Randy Shelton, who sues them in court. They trust Johnny Wilkes, who sues them in court. They trust Aspiration, which is now blown up, of course, in court. And there is one document here, right? So the question has always been, if you're going to play ahead the game here, like, who's the fall guy? And I think the order on the league is Lawrence Frank would be the guy who has a 4-year extension. He has the alleged hush money. He has a payout if anything happens to him, okay? But the question is, what touches Steve? And so at every step here, what I'm doing in 2017 and on is showing you Steve Ballmer was in the loop. He was authorizing this. Lawrence Frank, your president of basketball operations, does not do things rogue. He does it at your authorization. And so there is one document that I've been told about by multiple Aspiration sources, okay? And this is the part where it brings us back to Aspiration in the present tense, because there are 2 reasons why I'm in this prison of reporting. One is the bankruptcy filing of Aspiration, which revealed KL2 Aspire LLC. The other one is the fact that Joe Sandberg, the co-founder of Aspiration, one of these guys that Steve Ballmer trusted, who he realized later on, too late, I shouldn't have trusted this guy to deceive the NBA, that guy got arrested by the FBI and is awaiting sentencing. He has a hearing in April. And what I'm told by multiple Aspiration employees is that the reason Joe Sandberg got arrested, the domino that tipped all of this stuff over, that started a federal investigation that finally got Steve Ballmer out of the Aspiration business, was because there was at least one whistleblower inside the company who went directly to the federal government and submitted, presumably in writing, presumably under penalty of perjury, a complaint. And that complaint was the roadmap to get everybody else who committed criminal acts actually in trouble. And the question that has been raised to me over and over again.
This is important.
The thought is, did that whistleblower, under penalty of perjury in writing, mention Steve Ballmer and circumventing the NBA salary cap in writing? Did they put it into that complaint that started everything? Because if that document exists, that is the closest thing you could ever have to a smoking gun on letterhead under government supervision. And if that exists somewhere, then the NBA cannot possibly say this was a rogue president of basketball operations. This was from the very top with the richest man in sports.
Pablo, will anyone have the guts to ask the commissioner about this at All-Star Weekend?
I don't think so. I don't. I mean, I've been canvassing media members. I sadly, Dan, again, thank you, Dan, for paying for the reporting, for having me on the show. I have back-channeled to lots of other people with shows, and they don't want to touch it because they don't get it, because they think nothing's going to happen, because they're like, wake me up when the punishment comes. And I'm like, the whole point here is to use journalism in public to hold accountability up as a goal for everybody to still strive for. Waiting for the NBA to punish this, you're waiting for the system that enabled it to punish itself. Why would anybody expect them to do anything they didn't have to do? And so all you can do, Zaz, to your question, is ask questions, but I don't think people really are in the mood for doing that. That's the shame of it.
Well, let me ask the group here, because I don't know if it's a founding principle of Pablo Torre finds out necessarily, but it's certainly become one of its ideals as it's gone on. Pablo is tweeting that he's committed to using journalism to doing something that feels increasingly impossible, holding billionaires accountable. And this is the richest one of all, but I do feel like the room is bored. I feel like the room on the details of some of this, I feel like everyone is like, oh, wake me up when there's a punishment.
I'm not the least bit bored, but it's very overwhelming, and that's why other podcasts don't want to touch this, because it's dense, it's complicated. But the thing that I can't get out of my mind is the idea that Steve Ballmer can't be the only billionaire owner in the NBA or in sports in general who has invented this kind of skullduggery.
Yes, but this is really hard to prove, though, okay? Let's prove it once before we prove it with everyone. What this lays out, though, and this stuff is really, really difficult to document. Imagine how hard it must be to keep to show information that Steve Ballmer, with that power and that money, does not want seen by anybody, his fellow owners least of all, because this isn't a crime. It's just a shame that will make him someone who wants to win so badly that he's willing to cheat. Like, that he's willing to cheat in a way, allegedly, that Pablo's got not only receipts on, but timeline that is super, super incriminating in just appearances, in just optics. But it's really hard to pin down what would be identifiable proof the way he's laying it out, though, and he's done an exceptional job. Samson and Amin have been exceptional, helping put the framework and the nuance around how it is that it really works in the halls of power, because they've been close to these halls of power. What you're doing, Pablo, I think is so thick that it is hard to consume, but he's the only place that the information is coming from, and I see people going there in hundreds of thousands because they do want it. Why don't more want it? Why don't most want it?
Because the cost-benefit analysis, what you cost, what you risk, what you lose is access. You lose the ability to be protected legally, potentially, depending if you whether you know what you're talking about or not. You also lose favor with, frankly, the NBA itself, right? Like, All-Star Weekend's a party. I get it. I loved All-Star Weekend. It's the biggest holiday in the NBA calendar. To be the turd in the punch bowl is not what I want to be. It's why, by the way, Amin Al-Hassan is here doing like Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions. It's why David Sampson, his eyes are degrading and he has to get increasingly strong glasses because I'm forcing him like a lab rat to read documents, which he loves, but to do it on camera in front of everybody to see like how people actually talk when presented with evidence. I mean, Dan, the thing about this story, the reason why this has been one of the most trafficked episodes we've done on the show so far is simply because people are realizing there is a way that the NBA media talks about this stuff in group chats privately. They're out at a bar, they all talk about it. All-Star Weekend this weekend, you can guarantee they're going to be whispering about it, but they wouldn't dare take the effort to report it out and risk something in public. And there are some exceptions here and there, and I welcome them to jump into the pool because the water's been warm for a while. But that's the difference. Do you want to know the truth, or do you want to know what the apparatus is telling you you should stop asking questions about, because is it really going to get punished anyway?
Well,
that's
Let
the
me
problem.
ask the question of the group here, because I am curious about this, right? Joe Rogan is one example, made an entire empire out of believing in conspiracies and it being profitable. Then presented with the Epstein actual one, now that's one that he doesn't quite believe in the way that he believes in all the ones that didn't have any proof. What's happening here with this as a conspiracy? Because it is the rarest of things to have a reporter digging in on this kind of documentation, contracts, emails, texts. Like, it's hard work. So what's happening when the conspiracy is presented to you? Why wouldn't the entirety of the media grab that? Is it that much of a cabal Like, is the whole thing that compromised that what Pablo is saying is true? I don't believe that can be true, that NBA media is so interested in protecting its economy that it doesn't dare touch this. I believe NBA media looks at this and says, I can't do it. It's too much. It's too sprawling. I can't do the reporting on this. It's too hard to do the reporting.
I mean, most sports journalists are lazy because they think of what they're covering as the toy store. And Pablo's exactly right. This should be a much bigger story in the other media than it is. It should be the overarching story of an All-Star weekend hosted by, of all teams, the LA Clippers. But it might not even be touched because we'd rather write the fun feature about Wemby.
I don't think it's lazy, though. I think it's just too hard to do.
It's too daunting.
That's fair. I want to be fair about this, right? So the reason why we do this, in fairness to every other media member in the NBA, who's like, look, I just want to cover the games, man. I want to talk about how all of this is shaping up on the court, right? And I'm okay with that because on some level that leaves this niche to me. That's why we are distinguished in comparison. The thing that I urge people to realize, though, is that this is like a true NBA crime story that is a conspiracy that's not a conspiracy. This is the story of someone for whom money is no object and rules prevent him, as the richest man in sports, a guy with $140–50 billion, from just spending in the way that he thinks he should be able to spend. And there are rules against that. Do rules matter in the NBA? Do they matter in society? Do they matter in government? This is part of why I care about this stuff. It is because sports are a metaphor, but they're also reality. It's reality because the question of, and Greg, you raised a good question that I've heard a lot, could there possibly be other owners who do something similar? What I've always said is that this is a function of degree. No one has the ability to buy the rest of the NBA combined. This guy does. No one was the CEO of the foremost monopoly in America, Microsoft, when the American government's antitrust department was coming after them for monopolistic behavior and anti-competitive practices. That was Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer didn't give a shit about the rules around competition when it came to the actual federal laws. You think he cares about the NBA salary cap when he thinks that the whole might makes right great man theory of capitalism is, I have the most money, you're preventing me from being as deservedly great as I already am? Keep in mind, dude was punished for cap circumvention with DeAndre Jordan in 2015. That was another team sponsor, Lexus, okay? Punished. 2019, investigated for cap circumvention with Kawhi Leonard, related directly to some of the stuff we're talking about, which the NBA apparently either saw or didn't see, both of which are kind of embarrassing, right? With Randy Shelton and with Johnny Wilkes. That's 2019. And now, of course, we come to the third cap circumvention investigation in his tenure, related to stuff that they already got cleared for because the NBA didn't really look into it that hard, or so it would seem. And now, on top of that, you have Randy Shelton's lawsuit, you have Johnny Wilkes' lawsuit, and you have 11 aspiration investors who are alleging that this dude aided and abetted fraud. And I'm not saying that he did. I'm merely saying, in totality, this is how documents shake loose. And it can be really boring to read a bunch of documents, but I guarantee if you see the timeline unfold, and we will make a master timeline for everybody, I promise you in the next couple of weeks, to make it very, very easy as we can. When you see it all in order, you realize this is an insult to your intelligence as a sports fan. And it's also really funny because they tried to get away with it. And that's the needle we're trying to thread.
Going to the journalist element of it, like it is more complicated for these local media members who cover individual teams when they go out to All-Star Game to ask these questions, because for them, they're looking for job security, right? In a media landscape that's shifting the way that it is, do you want to be the troublemaker? Do you want to be the person who's asking the tough questions when you're making your money off of the team that you cover, giving you information, and they're your sources, and now they might be looking at you asking those questions as, who knows, maybe they're trying to cover up similar types of things as we're talking about. Like, all of these owners and all of these general managers are looking for potential shortcuts to win. Do you really want to be the person that now potentially loses out on sources because of that? And in this specific landscape where journalism already isn't being funded, why are you going to join the fray of the sort of outcasts of the league?
Pablo,
it's more complicated.
The thing that I think, though, was most revelatory in an episode that has an assortment of revelations in it is tying all this back to 2017. Like, putting the scent out there of, oh, the world's most powerful, rich sports owner has wanted something badly for 8 years. Yeah, Jeremy was talking too long.
It was way too long.
Yes, it was too
We
long.
really
Yes, it's
enjoyed
always
that.
too long. It's always too long.
I relate.
Thought you
I
wanted
relate
us
to Jeremy
locked
on
in,
that.
Dan.
That part, Dan, the whole like this goes way back and Steve Ballmer has every resource to do it. I mean, this is where the NBA, right, as an on-court thing, if you're a fan of the Spurs, let alone the Spurs front office, if you're a fan of the Raptors, let alone a member of the Raptors front office, you're watching, and I've heard from those camps already, you're watching this episode and you're thinking, how is there not some compensation that we are due because of how the Clippers did this? Because they sent emissaries out with one job years before this guy was a free agent when he was under contract specifically. Like, it's when I say it's like a mockery of the rules, I mean that both like, yes, this is textbook, like bad corporate behavior. It's also a mockery in the sense that it's really funny. Like this guy, all the characters here are ridiculous. They're ridiculous people. Randy Shelton, the trainer, is talking about he wants to make Kawhi Leonard a human avatar, like the movie Avatar. Johnny Wilkes has this YouTube channel that no one's noticed in which he's offloaded all of these scraps of evidence. And he's like Uncle Dennis's high school teammate. He's just a guy, you know? All of these characters. Lawrence Frank is out here trying to not lie in public while effectively and demonstrably lying in public. And Steve Ballmer now is in hiding somewhere, and he's about to come out of his cave to say, welcome to the Intuit Dome, the richest palace in the history of sports. Welcome to this place that was built in ways that no one should ever know about, because all of it hinged on, can we get a superstar? Can we get Kawhi Leonard? And that brings us back to the fact that, oh yeah, Kawhi's there too. So,
Tell Chris to cut up Jeremy's question, please.
There was
Tell
no
him to
question.
grab it.
There was no question.
The
It was
thing
just me
about it,
rambling.
this is what I want you guys to do, all right? This is what I want you guys to imagine, because I close my eyes sometimes when he's talking, and I imagine him strolling into the room spinning a parasol. Like, it's just how it always starts.
You sometimes look down and don't look at me while I'm talking.
Sometimes. I close my eyes because he can't just come in and ask the question. And look, I can be long-winded, okay? I can be, obviously, more so than ever these days. But it's always strolling in, spinning a parasol. Like, everyone's here to see me, right?
Oh, no. He knows how to speak.
Honestly, that question was toast before he asked it. We rattled him so much.
They were
because
staring
we had
at me
him.
already saying, if you think you're family.
Like, young
Before I
bucket,
even started,
if
Dan.
you think this is the time and place for you to ask one of your questions, go right ahead.
Tony bailed. I saw Tony
the room is bored. Somebody please.
No, my issue is that my window closed because Pablo ended up talking for another 7 minutes after I wanted to say something.
Pablo Torre finds out is the podcast. Go. All the information is there. We haven't actually spoiled it. I did think the best thing in the episode, Amin's never been better with his impersonation.
Amin is incredible.
It's the best he's ever
Amin-
been with his impersonation.
Peak Amin is what you get in this episode, if nothing else. He has never been more expert and more on point as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
See you later, Pablo. Thank you.
Tony and I were Mesidor and Bane on the edge, waiting for Jeremy to get this
Snap that ball, I swear to God.
What I saw, though, this is what I saw on the front end, though. I saw Tony was blocking with Jeremy. Tony turned sides in the middle. As soon as the ball was snapped, I saw Tony become a pass rusher when he started the play as an offensive lineman. He was lined up next to Jeremy. He's like, I don't like my team anymore. Now I'm a pass rusher.
Yeah, I went, you go, and then, Mike has something too. So, yeah, you guys go before me. I'll go on the back end of that. Nope.
No,
you think you're family?
You went on the back end, and then we got you.
It was like a 95-second
What a plot twist.
Meet at the quarterback.
It was a costume change. He started in the stance where he was going to drop back into pass blocking with Jeremy to protect the quarterback. Then he turned around, changed uniforms, ran on
three-point stance here,
side.
Dano. There were like 3 logical endpoints. Once he was like, and journalism isn't being funded anyways. I'm like, oh.
Was looking for a yes and from somebody.
Oh, shit. Why did he do that? I do pull for him, but not that time.
We've got a holy trinity between Pablo, me, and Jeremy of unlikable. And so
again, I was likable until you guys positioned me as unlikable.
The question was a minute long.
I was likable too until
Wasn't even a question.
we added an assortment of personalities that aren't Stugotz. And then it became less likable. Again, a holy trinity. Jeremy, you got to do work to be less likable than me and Pablo combined, because that was some real scolding of the NBA media we just did. And then you came in. They're all just protecting their jobs.
I have the question. Do we want to relive it?
Yes, please. Yes. Do we have enough time?
Please. The journalist element of it, like it is more complicated for these local media members who cover individual teams when they go out to All-Star Game to ask these questions, because for them, they're looking for job security, right? In a media landscape that's shifting the way that it is, do you want to be the troublemaker? Do you want to be the person who's asking the tough questions when you're making your money off of the team that you cover, giving you information?
About halfway
and
through.
They're your sources, and now they might be looking at you asking those questions as, who knows? Maybe they're trying to cover up similar types of things as we're talking about. Like, all of these owners and all of these general managers are looking for potential shortcuts to win. If you think that your family... Do you really want to be the person that now potentially loses out on sources because of that?
20 seconds left.
In this specific landscape where journalism already isn't being funded, why are you going to join the fray of the sort of outcasts of the league?
Pablo,
it's more complicated.
the thing...
I'm going to go ahead and go make a song. I'm going to go make a song. I'll be back at the end of the next hour. I'm going to go make another song for a sponsor.
You guys saw it.
Cut him off, man.
Yeah, well, he was...
Dan, your internal clock is sharper than that. What happened? You let him go for a minute and a half.
I eventually just cut him off before whatever the dismount was. It's like whatever he thinks the parasol in the gymnastics routine is, I came in and took him at the ankles just as he was hitting the pommel horse. Like I'm going to nail the dismount here.
Roy adjusted his seat in the middle of it. I was like, man, this room is getting muggy.
Cody's goatee is longer than it was when the question began.